Today the topic is a continuation from yesterday, and the category is naming with care. And today I'm calling it Naming with Care, a creative path for mindful practice. In 2017, we changed our name from Recollective Awareness Meditation to Reflective Meditation. And we announced the change with an e-journal. It's housed on the Sati Sangha website under the Teachings tab. And if you can't find it, just shoot an email to dailyonlinesangha@gmail.com and I'll help you find it. And there are a whole host of reasons of why someone would change their name, or why we would, as a practice, change our name. Some of the reasons are, for example, in the Buddhist tradition, you would want to change your more common name to something more spiritual, or a given name. You get given a spiritual name. Many artists change their name to a pen name or a stage name. Some are recommended to do so because their name isn't quite flashy enough, or the right sound, or wouldn't attract the right people. We change our names in marriage. We change our names for cultural reclamation. I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing that word, reclamation, and gender transition. There's a lot of reasons to change our names. But in this e-journal, we wrote an introduction, and this is written by Janet Keyes, Wendy Liepman, Aaron Harrop, and I, way back when, in 2017. So I'm going to read it for you. In this transition from centralized leadership to more widespread, independent sanghas and individuals, the glow of having a special approach to meditation has rubbed off, paving the way for new understandings of our practice as students, as practitioners, and as teachers. We've experienced this period of change as a creative time and want to share that creativity with each other. It seems important to capture both the diverse expressions and the evolving nature of meditation practice. With this e-journal, we want to provide a forum for cooperation, connection, and healing to our community. So we named the e-journal Reflective Meditation, a creative path for mindful practice. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Here's the opening artwork that we used. And we created a committee at that time, and we asked for submissions from a worldwide Sangha, from people that were practicing recollective awareness, now reflective meditation, all over. And we received songs, paintings, sculptures, poetry, academic prose. But really what we found were creative takes of the Dharma. These were interwoven with all of the art that we got. And this watercolor is by Kim Knuth of the Pine Street Sangha. She's in the Elephants group. Oh no, she's not in the Elephants. She's an Onion. Sorry. But in my memory, we chose it because of wanting to keep the light on, the light of our practice. And we wanted to keep this candle burning and inspire each other to continue. Okay, I'm going to stop the share for a moment. But many of the daily online meditation teachers are included in this e-journal. It houses Nelly's unconventional glossary of Buddhist qualities. And I think this was her first edition that we put out. It has Bill's original talk on the hindrances to meditation. And this again was a creative Dharma spin-off from the traditional take of hindrances that were just given to concentration practice. And so Bill came up with a list of hindrances to reflective meditation practice, which has some overlap, but also is quite distinct. It had my first attempt at creating short Dharma talks. Before then, our Dharma talks were long and lots of words and lots of concepts. And this really started an era for us of short creative prompts, where we then followed that with meditation and then reflection and then sharing our experience. So the practice as we know it now was born kind of in this way. It has Janet's poetry included in it, Wendy's songwriting and some of her lyrics and the actual songs, which contain Dharma themes. And it has Erin's artwork and her reflection on her artwork. So I'm bringing it forward mostly as a reminder. It's the reminder that I want to remember the most, is that in periods of change, these can be experienced as creative times. I forgot that it was creative. I remembered a lot of the dukkha. I remembered a lot of the sukha of what was born, but I had forgotten how important it was to us to keep creativity as part of our practice. And while none of us make a full-time living out of our submissions, some would not even identify with the term artists. We really did all identify with the word creative. We couldn't imagine a practice or a life without it that doesn't have a creative aspect. It felt essential. And yet we wanted to go against the kind of grain of our culture that creatives have a certain talent or flair, and that those are the people who are creative. So we questioned, what if we're all creative in our own human way? And what if we left behind the usual categories of what is and what isn't creative, who is and who isn't? And while I was doing this talk, I was doing a little bit of research, and I saw in the LA magazine, we could have easily called this creative meditation. And right now, it's very hot. Creative meditation is very hot. So this is what LA magazine says. In a world that demands constant output, artists are learning that the best ideas don't always come from striving. They come from stillness. Across disciplines, from music to painting to prose, creatives are turning to meditation not as an escape, but as a way to meet themselves more honestly. As the world grows louder, the decision to become quiet, to be quiet, becomes a radical act. So, I'm really glad we didn't choose creative meditation. Just for the fact that I don't think reflective meditation is solely for artists. I think doing the practice is the creative endeavor. We don't have a tidy Dharma practice. We see our inner world more like an unconventional zoo than a monastery. And the animals aren't in cages. And we learn to love the wild animals. They're part of our mind-body ecosystem. So if creativity is missing from your practice, you might catch it from listening to someone else's experience when sharing their meditation aloud. A glimmer of recognition, the thawing of a long frozen feeling, a little bit of a waking up, a deep connection. Reflective meditation builds this into the practice so creativity can happen without trying to force it or chase it. Okay. I'm going to end my Dharma talk there.